going on, everyone? So, Clint Capela, based on reports, is expected to be shopped this offseason. That Atlanta is looking to trade and move off of Clint Capela. He is currently making about $22.5 million. It's like 22.2 and some change, but let's just call it $22.5 million is what he's making on an expiring deal. He does become a free agent next offseason, not this coming offseason, next offseason. So there would be some value in Clint Capela for our team because, one, you could bring him in, be a valuable piece, but also he's a guy that you could re-sign and give him a cheaper deal. He is 30 now, but he's still very capable of, based on just his production and his type of game, I believe you still could have another 3 to 5 years of quality production from Clint Capela. It's a guy that could start, it's a guy that could come off the bench, however you want to do it, right? So Atlanta being a outlet for a potential trade with the Lakers, Clint Capela is a guy that makes a lot of sense, right? Now, obviously, the Lakers could use another big man, use a center, use somebody that can help with rebounding, which Clint Capela is great at that. Offensive rebounding, Clint Capela is one of the best in the game in that regard. He's still young enough to where, you could have him for the next handful of years, and he's a guy that could come in and play a big role and be alongside Anthony Davis, maybe back up Anthony Davis. More likely than not, I would imagine he probably backs up Anthony Davis just because of the LeBron factor. Now, I know a lot of people really want to move AD to the 4, play a center at the 5, whatever center that may be that the Lakers end up acquiring. Again, the problem is LeBron. Like, LeBron has talked about it. We've heard reports about it. I mean, everything the information is out there. I've talked about it numerous times, right? That at this stage of LeBron's career, he has to play the 4. Right? It's how he's able to kind of coast throughout the season, kind of play that free safety role. He doesn't have to overexert himself on the defensive side, where if he's playing the 3, now he's got to actually be locked in because he's got to defend out on the perimeter. Most 4s in the league aren't these like elite shooters, and you can kind of just let them camp out in the corner, right? Where a team that has a 3, that's usually one of their better shooters, right? So LeBron would have to chase them around and, go out and contest the shot, and it's just... he would have to exert himself more than he would have to otherwise play in the 4. So even if we did get a center like a Clint Capela, I have my concerns about like him starting and if he would be okay with that. Now, on the surface, Clint Capela makes a world of sense. Again, guy that can block shots, guy that can rebound, guy that can be a lob threat and be in the dunker spot. Doesn't really do much stretching the floor, but that's fine, right? Like, you're looking for him to do the things that he does best because luckily, the Lakers need that, and they need that badly. So bringing in a guy like Clint Capela alongside an Anthony Davis, I think would just be, that would be excellent, right? 2 legit rebounders, 2 legit shot blockers, 2 guys that can defend. I just have my questions of like, would he come off the bench? Would he start? Because if you're trading for a guy that is $22.5 million, right, you're paying him that money to start. You're paying him that kind of money to come in, be your starting caliber. Now, maybe LeBron would be okay with playing the 3, right? Like, let's say, because, again, Atlanta is one of the key destinations. Now, if the Lakers were to trade for a Trae Young, it'd be really, really difficult to go land a Clint Capela. It's not impossible, but it is very, very unlikely unless D'Lo opts in or they're able to work out some type of move with D'Lo, right? So, because one, Trae's making like $45 million, and then you add in Clint Capela, now you're talking, $67, almost $68 million. Like, it's a lot of money that you have to ship out, right? Like, you'd have to basically give up Vando. Like, it's just, at that point, no, right? At that point, I feel like you're giving up too much. But let's say you were to trade for a Dejounte Murray. Right? So what it would cost you to go get Trae, you could get Dejounte Murray and Clint Capela and probably not cost you as much asset-wise, right? Contract-wise and player-wise, it would cost you the same, right? Because Dejounte Murray is making like $25 million this year plus Clint. So you're talking about like Trae 45, Capela and Murray making like 47, right? So that would probably be something where, yeah, you're unloading several guys, but you're getting your point guard for now and the future, and you're getting a center for now, and then when LeBron retires, he could just easily plug in and play alongside AD. So you'd have, Dejounte Murray, say Max Christie, Jared Vanderbilt, Anthony Davis, and then Clint Capela as like at least your foundation post LeBron, and then, maybe you find that other star, or you find somebody that can come in and be that complement. That would be the idea. Also, if you were to get a guy in Clint Capela, there's a couple ways you could look at this. One, right, you could potentially clear off a bunch of money, right? Like if you kind of wanted to get off, like trade for Dejounte Murray. Let's say LeBron does another like 1+1, right? So now you could potentially kind of free, like let's say you can't get that other star, right? And there's potential that maybe a couple are on the market the following season. Maybe you could work something out to where you could land somebody or do something, or you could work it out to go and re-sign Clint Capela to a new deal, right? So instead of like $22 million, because he's not worth that at today's times, right? He got that contract 4 or 5 years ago, which was a big difference. And he got that, if I'm not mistaken, he signed that one in Houston, right? If I'm not mistaken. But nonetheless, right, whatever it was, it was just different time, different moment. Where now he'd probably be around maybe $15 million. I think would probably be a solid number, somewhere in that like $12 to $15 million mark, realistically, because he is a very good type of center. And he still would be, like I said, he'd probably be able to get through another contract for you if you're the Lakers. So maybe you're doing something where you're signing him to, a 4-year, $48 million contract, right? And you're like, hey, we'll lock you in 4 years, right? So we'll get you through this, get you a new contract. You get $48 million over 4. Now you and Anthony Davis are the piece alongside for the future. We need you right now. We're going to need you to come off the bench for us, right? During this LeBron era. Right? LeBron's not going to play forever, right? You get through this year, probably got another year or so. As soon as he's gone, boom, you're the guy, right? You get to slot in and be that starting 5. LeBron's going to miss, 15 games this season. Anthony Davis is probably going to miss at least, 10 games this season, whatever, hopefully if he's healthy. Collectively, let's say the two of them, they're going to miss at least 20 plus games, right? In all those games, you would get to start. LeBron sits and rests one night. You start, 80 slides to the 4, right? Anthony Davis, he needs a break tonight. Okay, boom. You slot into the 5, LeBron James is at the 4, right? So I do think over the course of the regular season, I think 1, he's going to get the minutes, and 2, I think he's probably going to start like, half the season or whatever, right? Or a third of the season. So I do think that there is this little bit of incentive of like, hey, we're building something great here. You're going to be able to contend for a championship, right? You're going to be our future center that's just going to slot right in and play great, right? Like, you're a guy that's going to have a big impact. You're going to get the minutes. Like, yes, you won't start, but you get to play, right? There may even be games where we close you down the stretch, if we're playing Minnesota, right? Well, we're probably going to throw you and Anthony Davis to match up that way. Or, we play Denver, you're probably going to get 40 minutes that game, right? Like, or if we play Denver again in the playoffs, you're probably going to get like 40 minutes that game. Because, again, we need to match up size-wise, right? And then Clint Capela off the bench, he'd be the best big man off the bench in the league. Now, the thing is like, let's say he's like, I don't want to, long term, I don't want to be coming off the bench, right? Like, I'd like to go to a position to start. The question is that like where is that, right? Because most teams in the league already have their center, right? Or they have their like development guy that a young team that wants to build. Like Detroit is like 80% centers, right? Like all these teams kind of already have their big men, right? Maybe a team like the Warriors that could use a real center, maybe they'd go and make a move and a push for him, but I just think Clint Capela, his market is going to be very small, very thin. I don't see him having a ton of suitors like lining up to go sign him or trade for him, right? I'm not saying that there might not be a team or two or maybe a couple, but I just think like are any of those destined, maybe a place like the Warriors because he can start and they kind of retool some stuff. But outside of that, it's like he's probably like if a team's trading for him, it's probably in a backup role anyway. Right? Like the Pelicans might need a center, right? Because it looks like they're probably going to let Valanciunas walk, right? So, but do they look at it and go, because they like to play Zion at the 5 a lot. So do they look at it as like, oh, we really need this like, big center. So I just think the market's going to be limited. I think regardless, he's probably going to be looked at to play a backup role, however you shake it, right? It's like you come to the Lakers, you play this. Worst case scenario, like let's say he's like, I don't want to play a backup role. Like, I still don't hate the idea of trading for him, depending on if he's kind of like an add-on, right? Now, if he's somebody that's like, like Atlanta's like, well, we want a first in 2 seconds for him or something like that, right? Like, to me, if he's kind of like an add-on to justify like a Dejounte Murray trade or something, then fine, right? I would still say like, hey, why not do it? Because you at least have him for the year. He's not just gonna like not play, right? So like, you'd at least have him for the year, and then if it doesn't work out and he's not happy with it, he wants to go elsewhere, then you kind of just let him and let the money fall off the books. But also that depends on what LeBron's signing, like what kind of contract LeBron has, depends on, what pieces, like there's other factors that go into it, but it is something that potentially, depending on how things play out, could be beneficial to the Lakers of like, yeah, we trade for this guy, now we got $22.5 million falling off the books, right, to where we can go make some other moves. We got, Dejounte Murray, Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, just looking for that other piece or two to kind of tack on, right? Maybe now you get some cap space and can add some quality depth or something along those lines. I don't hate the idea. It's not something that I feel like is an absolute necessity, right? Like, to me, just like go sign Valanciunas and it's fine, or like bring in an Andre Drummond for a vet minimum. To me, it's more like Clint Capela. Like, I don't know if I'd want the Lakers to trade for Clint Capela individually. But if it's kind of like a tack on, right? It's kind of like, hey, like, take Clint Capela for us too, then sure. I would be all for that, right? If it's kind of like you got, like, let's get them both like in a package deal, then fine. But if it's kind of like, if like, I just think that there's other options that would be fine. They're probably not as good as Clint Capela at what he does and what the Lakers need, but I do think you can kind of get away with it. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of Clint Capela? Do you think now stay as far away from Clint Capela as possible? Would you like him as kind of like an add-on like I talked about? You go trade for Dejounte Murray and then add in a Clint Capela? Do not. Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. We enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.